A good morning to you all. This is PHC 102, a makeup class targeting tomorrow's holiday, which will make us miss the 2 sessions for PHC 102 for City Campus. I thought I would be wise if we had this time together. Then we will keep it on recording for the benefit of others who may not be able to join because of the time, but they will still benefit from the content and they are still able to send their questions if they still have them, but this is not a new topic at all. This is a content on epistemology. We set off nicely last week and saw discussion around after we moved up. I think I introduced this group, I introduced you to the slides, and then we just scanned briefly, but the whole content, if I say the whole content, the discussion proper on the slides are just notes. You find them in the second group's discussion, and I refer them also to your discussion in the first session, so that you always have a fair blend of the two. Even after we have discussed it, you can have a recording that is there. I'm going to engage the meditation text proper with you, and that is what this discussion will be about. So we saw that, or we will see that René Descartes is one of the people you will call a rationalist. Who is a rationalist? Let me ask if someone knows who a rationalist is. Azuma, John, go ahead. Who would you call a rationalist? I'm muted, please. John, you're muted. Olivia.
Please, good morning.
Go ahead.
Please, okay. Rationalists are then those people who rely on their mind. So, like everything they experience, they think of it from their mind. So they are thinkers.
Thank you. That's how you understand it. Good. It's okay. Any other person? So Olivia, okay. Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, what?
People who believe in their mind, but they don't believe in religious stuffs. They believe on their mind.
Hey, that's not true. That's what you saw in the slides. That's very serious.
Madam, please.
Hold on.
Madam.
That is just a minute, please. Whoever is speaking, hold on for a minute. Daniel, let me react to that immediately. It's not true at all. In fact, rationalists are more religious inclined. If you look generally at them, they would even attribute things to the non-physical. You see, Plato, Descartes, some will even think of Kant as rationalists in that sense of it. Not exactly so, though. Leibniz, empiricists. So you haven't engaged the slides, and I'm going to end the lecture. Yeah, unless I get an inclination that the class has done some reading. When you are talking about, I like the responses, but I want you to engage content when it is given to you. The current crop of students we have, generally speaking now, not addressing any particular person or group or school, you don't like reading, generally speaking. I teach level 100s a lot, plus other levels, but I'm a bit more committed to the introductory levels. Students don't want to read. I don't know if it is an SHS thing or it is a general posture. You can't do that in philosophy. If you do that, you won't do well. So read. When you are giving content, read it. If we go to the slides right now, so let me stop sharing this one and go to the slides, okay? For the benefit of everyone. These are things that are written detail there. If dear students who we love and appreciate so much, we want you to do well, we only engage. Just read one line from it. You will see that you answer these questions easily. Okay, so I'm going to share that. Though it will just be a repetition for you, which I was hoping you would take advantage of. If you have content already on the topic, you bring questions on it to class. It gives you an advantage. Then you can now engage the next one. Look at this slide. answering the question of how we know. Sources of knowledge is a question about knowledge. How do we know? Keep looking on my screen now, please. When we ask how we come to know, because we are doing philosophy, so we are in the branch of philosophy called epistemology. And one of the questions that is central there is, how do we justify our claims of knowledge? I'm not telling you everything else that is there like this. I don't have to tell you that, but you have questions to answer on them. This is not philosophy. This is, if I say what is the traditional view of knowledge, you don't expect me to come and tell you again, see on my screen. That knowledge is justified through belief. That is stated there. You haven't read it yourself to see this. You want me to tell it to you before you hear it. That's wrong. It's not tertiary education. That's undergrad, SHS, JHS. Because the assumption is maybe the person won't even be able to read the word justified. So you have to help them at that level. This is tertiary, post SHS. That's why after here, in fact, some are even here, you can already hold national positions, be an MP or DC or something, making decisions for us. You have to read. Okay, but if the student reads and the content is not easy to grab, that is why you need an instructor, a lecturer, an examiner, because the person understands the content. You need understanding. You need a mentor, someone who has gone through it. But reading to know what it said is not a lecturer issue. It's a student issue. But when you come and you don't understand, so the thing called empirical source, can you explain a little for me? Because I read that the empiricists believe that this, and so when they say the source, do they mean its origin, or they mean what brought about? That is a question of understanding, not for me to tell you like three rationalists, examples of three rationalists, or who a rationalist is. It's written there. That's my stress. See? So who is a rationalist? It says that philosophers who hold a view. It is on your screen. I'm projecting from Sakai, something that is accessible to you, everyone. My worry is you are going to do your eye next week. I will ask you questions from topic 1 all the way to here. There won't be essays where you punch one. No, I'll ask you feedback on content. You will come to the people here and use the computers here and answer within an hour and go. There will be multiple choice questions and maybe some short answer questions. It will expect that you have engaged the slides. Just feedback. The final exam there will be on what? Essays. There will be essays on specific topics. I may even tie in 2-3 topics into one question, sometimes how I ask, so that you have a flair to write out well and get your points. Okay? So if you are not reading, you won't do well. It's simple. Don't let me say that over and over and over again over everyone. Just have a posture that goes to the site and read. And so if you go to your resource to content for this course that I, by the grace of God, am managing, I put content there even before you became a student of the course. I put them there. Every topic. So that you don't have the headache of having to go around looking for the reference or something, which is what you should have done in a tertiary setting. I just show you the link or give you a reference, and you go looking for the book or Pioneer. No, it is there for you. If you don't read or engage the content, it cannot be a lecture issue. Everyone, okay? So see, it says philosophers who hold the view that reason is the true and ultimate source of all knowledge are described as rationalists. So if I come and I say, who is a rationalist? Slide number 4 is there. Not people who think. I say empiricists don't think. Hello, auntie? No, it's not correct. It's not the people who say that they don't believe in religion and whatever they are. No, 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 no. It's talking epistemology. There's a full recorded lecture on that, shared to the side. Recorded lecture with my voice on it, pointing to the slides. How? How would my students have that posture? Okay, so please sit up. Philosophy doesn't play. I can say that because I teach you. I can't speak for every other person or every other course. But philosophy, you don't play around like that. You won't do well if you do that. You can reset this 3 times or 4 times. We don't want that. So we psych our students, and this is the 7th week of a 10-week semester. Great, so we continue. Let me reshare that we had a skid again. Our network here, I think, is jumping all over the place. But we'll do fine. So on your screen now, when we ask the question of knowledge, what do we know? How do we know? And how do we justify our claims of knowledge? The philosopher, or the discipline called philosophy, which interrogates the fundamental assumptions, beliefs that ground our everyday life, asks questions that wander into what? Epistemology. We have seen some metaphysical questions. We saw some ethical ones. You know what that is? Questions of good, right, wrong. That's ethics. Questions of what really exists, the reality of things. That's metaphysics. There were 2 references in each one of them that we focused on. It's your duty to fill in any gap you have. We did a good, extensive discussion of those topics, from Plato to Ortega for metaphysics, then to Kant and what's the other 2? Jeremy Bentham and Mill, briefly on consequentialism, deontology. After we had seen ethical relativism, that last week we used your time to even entrench it a bit more so that you have a very strong foundation. Share to the whole site, both main campuses and campus groups, on consequentialism, deontology, what have you, to mop up nicely. They will take advantage of that content and improve upon how they understood that topic. Because I record, I always go back to it. You should do that. You even gave them the opportunity because it was your session that recorded that. Main campus groups didn't have a recording because it's a physical lecture. I go there, teach. So when you finish, I want to refer. How do you get that? You see that? But you had it, so you should know that also. Then your second group, after I mopped up nicely, touched on this and shared it to the site last week, exactly a week. Today is 6 days from then, eh? You should engage it too. So today's discussion would have moved a bit more, still on the epistemology, but you will see that I would have engaged the content itself with you. Descartes' Meditations 1 and 2, the article, the book he wrote, that helped us pull out the systematic doubt, limitations of the senses, dream argument, the evil genius argument. That's where I was going to, using the text itself, not just the notes, because I presume that you would have engaged the notes. Now I ask you who a rationalist is, and what I'm hearing is not pleasant. Rationalists are opposed to empiricists. These are 2 schools of thought in the frame of philosophy called epistemology. When you are doing the question of knowledge, how do we ground our claims of knowledge, etc.? You are doing epistemology. It is not ethics, where we are asking questions about right and wrong, good and bad. It is not metaphysics, where we are doing philosophy, yes, but asking questions about reality and whatever. They are different branches of philosophy. Just like I told you in class, you can have a doctor that focuses on eyes. He's not the same as a doctor that focuses on ears or teeth. A dentist is not a gynecologist, though they are all practicing doctors, but their focus is different, you see. So when you do philosophy, there are branches. We studied all that week 1 when we were trying to understand what philosophy is, how it is done, the approaches. It's your business to engage them, okay? So in epistemology, we are looking at how we come to know what knowledge itself is. And in that slide, in that recording, I touched on skepticism. It's not even the slides. And there are questions on that we should answer. Absolute skeptic, philosophical skeptic, common sense skeptic. Why did we need that? Because it would help you understand why knowledge is possible at all. Because absolute skepticism is not defensible. If we can't defend absolute skepticism, that is, if it is not possible to say that we cannot know anything, then it means knowledge is possible. We can know. If we can know, then what is knowledge? That is what sets it off here. Justified true belief. believe that is true, you can have justification for it. And then from there, we will now ask, so how do we come to know if knowledge is possible at all? How? Then it will take us to the two views. You see that? That is it on your screen. How? It means you must know philosophical skepticism and understand what Descartes was doing. He was applying the skepticism, the doubt that is associated with philosophical inquiry. When the philosophical or the philosopher is doing a doubting or asking questions, it is intentional to address a fundamental assumption that perhaps others have taken for granted. So what is obviously the case is what the philosopher is questioning. It's like a watchman checking the watchman. Who watches the watchman, sort of. Okay. So that if we assume that, oh, I saw him taking the food, therefore he stole it, for example, I saw. It's supposed to be an evidence. I have brought evidence. Well, the philosopher says, what if what you saw is not necessarily what is there? You see what I'm asking? I'm asking a philosophical question, expressing doubt about the possibility that what you thought is obvious is not obvious after all. That is not the same as the absolute skeptic who says we cannot know anything at all. And we saw how that is self-refuting. Go and play that recording, oh, dear friends. Else you can get 2. That's my passion. You see I'm talking? You can get 2/60. And that's a straight reset for you. Don't worry about what happens in the exam, because 2/60 in the IE means you have not even gathered half. Oh, by choice. But if you do what you are told to do, which is what human beings, including yourself and myself, we don't want to do. We don't want to obey anything God is instructing us. Even binary, we say we don't know the difference between man and woman again. That's what we say. Every instruction we want to disobey. Imagine the sea doesn't want to remain where it was told to remain, and it is coming to human habitation. The sea. So simple obedience. I put the thing, go through so much stress, pull it down, pull recording, and put it on the side, and copy everyone, including main campus students who didn't need it. Yours is to copy the thing and read and play it back and then read. Yeah, I put resource. I'll put slides and resource too. Go and look at it. If you want degree, not me, you won't look at it. Huh? You know how I know you haven't looked? Maybe some have, but I'm talking about the one left. I've left 19. I'm talking to the one, just in case 99% of you have done. I'm worried because we don't make you pass because we want you to pass. You earn your pass, and a good pass at that. For a level 100 student, that is foundational. It will equip you and build your confidence for 200, 300, 400 levels. Sometimes you don't get an F, you get D, which is a pass. That's so bad a pass. Your foundation is weak. What can you build on it? So I mentor level 100 even as I instruct and teach them, because they don't know a lot of things. They think they know. The frenzy of being in university is still in them until they open their eyes in level 300 and realize that I should know a second class lower cry. If I'm not careful, I'm not getting it. Before they start setting up, and you can't undo things like that. You see, Ortega says your past may be something you can't do anything about. See that your past. It's only your future you have. Here you are. If you have done D, 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 C, D, D, D in your 100 and 200, how are you going to reshape it? So this is the time to sit up and make the right choices. Difference, okay? All right, so let's continue. That was mentoring. We'll go back to our lecture. See, how do we know? 2 sources. Senses, the 5 senses, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, and what? The mind. And I say mind is not brain. Empiricists also think. People, they use their brain. So don't confuse the two. Everybody, whether empiricist or rationalist, will use their head. Whether empiricist or rationalist, will use their eyes to see things. So their contention is not about that. That is what you must understand. Look at your screen. So if you asked someone who is empiricist rationalist is talking about epistemology, 2 branches with 2 sub-branches within what? Epistemology as a branch of philosophy. Empiricists say the senses is what gives us knowledge. So if I want to know, I should depend on what I saw, I heard, I touched, I tasted, or I smelled. These 5 senses is what gives knowledge and further offers what? Justification for our claims of knowledge. Says the empiricists like Hume and the others. I shouldn't be telling you that, look, it's on your screen. You should know that. Berkeley, Locke, Hume, to help your understanding. They are notes for you. Then we have another school of thought, still in epistemology. They don't think it is your senses that give you true knowledge. They think the senses don't give us truth. In other words, real knowledge, or if you like, certainty. What it gives us can be doubted. Not absolute. What then do they say we should depend on? They say mind, not brain. Brain is the physical substance in your head. It's jelly-like. It's like jelly in your head. I can transplant your brain. I can operate you and remove brains from your skeletal head. That's not what the rationalist calls the source of knowledge. It's still physical. It's talking mind. So you have to know this where you come for understanding. I put it, there's no brain. So some think of mind as soul, non-physical you. Some think of it as spirit. That's how short, of course. If someone thinks that rationalists don't believe in religion, God, really? You don't know rationalists. Okay? They think that the true source of knowledge is not what the senses tell you. What you saw or heard or touched or tasted or smelled doesn't give you knowledge proper. Knowledge proper is non-physical. The non-physical you is the source. That's a typical rationalist position, like Plato's. If you're a religiously inclined person, you know before you were blood clot in your mother's womb, I knew you. That's a rationalist talk. Before you took form, physical, so you can have hands to touch or eyes to see or to be an empiricist. Before that, I knew you and I had ordained you to be a prophet. Is it talking about the physical you? No. Think around that. So this person is saying that, like Plato, for example, will say, you came into their mind with innate ideas, inborn ideas. The ideas were already inscribed in your mind. So you know truth already. You know goodness already. You know beauty already before you even saw something to call beautiful. You already know the concept of beauty. Now, that is what we learned in lecture 1. Lecture 2, that was. Plato's world of reality versus world of appearance. We have done that, lecture 1. He's rationalist because he says it's not what you saw. You didn't see a beautiful girl to know beauty. You actually knew beauty. That's why when you saw a girl participating in the form of beauty, you can tell that this is beautiful. That form is beautiful. It has the nature, the essence, the being of beauty in it. It has that character. You already know, says Plato. It's not your eyes that is seeing beautiful to teach you beautiful. You know already. He's rationalist. Where did you know it from? Already inscribed in intellect, some will say soul, some will say spirit, etc. That's the rationalist posture. Now, some don't use spirit or soul. Some use intellect. Some use mind. Some would rather say reason. Okay? So you put all together and call it a rational source, depending on which rationalist you are studying. That is there. Everything I've said is in the lecture that I have recorded for you. Plus the slides already there. It's there. Okay. So some rationalists include Plato, René Descartes, and Spinoza. We're going to study Descartes. Why we would call him rationalist? What about his philosophy makes him rationalist? Okay. Now the third question in epistemology, apart from what knowledge is justified to believe, how do we know either a rational source or empirical source? The third is how do we justify our claims of knowledge? I already told you the empiricist says rely on the same source for justification. If we want to prove, you see my language, empirically, whether you stole the thing or you didn't steal at the law court, we need further and better particulars. They will still ask for evidence based on seeing, hearing, touching, tasting. That's how you justify your claims. Rationalists don't think so. They don't think the empirical really necessarily gives you the true knowledge. That's why it could be that we have sentenced someone to death and the person wasn't the one who really stole the money. That's a rationalist posture. We will still engage reason and thinking and reflection But rationalists, especially like Plato and the others, will tell you what your senses are telling you may not necessarily represent the true knowledge. And so this is the contention. That's why it's a philosophical matter. Two viewpoints, and the issue they are deliberating on looks like it's fundamental, it's basic to our human institutions, our law, our politics, our religion, our human life generally. It is not a question that goes away. We are doing philosophical questions. It's just assumptions we hold on to and move. But the philosopher takes those assumptions we make and interrogates them. So do we know through reason or through experience? In other words, do we know through the empirical source or the rational source? That is a fundamental epistemological question in philosophy. The question is, which of the sources is the ultimate and true justification of our knowledge claims? That's what you see on your screen. Then it took us to Descartes' Meditations 1 and 2. Meditation is the word reflections, thinking through. God's word says, meditate on it, Joshua 1 and also the Bible. Meditate on it day and night. Doesn't mean chant. Go and do other, your soul will leave your body and go to somewhere. Meditation, reflections. The person was reflecting. So his text, Descartes' text is called Meditations 1, 2, 3. I think it's up to 6. He was just sitting in his room as a Frenchman, a religious one at that, who had become frustrated about all the deception. What he thought he knew by the senses have failed him. That's the beginning of the text I was going to engage with you. And he says, so what at all can we know for certain now? Everything that we thought we knew, use your your knowledge about things right now to tell. COVID-19, we thought it would kill everybody in Africa. We'll all be dead on the street, like some people predicted, because they thought the world is theirs. Based on what they had reviewed empirically, some places experienced very bad, effect of COVID. Apologies and sorry to the souls that were lost. But our black skin here, melanin, look at how we even eat. Look at how we pack ourselves in a trotro when we are going home. Our prisons. Like Governor would have scooped out thousands of people and thrown into there. Did it happen that way? The empirical tells you what it can know. This is the posture that Descartes is. It will tell you something, you want to believe it. You thought you saw the guy's hand inside the soup. So you have seen. Seeing, and believe. Experience is the best teacher. That's what the empiricists say. Then Descartes said, but these eyes told me things that I thought were true. It turned out that they were false. I thought I saw a pool of water when I was driving along the street. I went closer. It's not water. It's mirage. I thought I heard Dr. Miles speaking out there. So we ran and went to sit down to look, ready for the class. The person coming was still in a pipe. I thought, who told you that? Your ears. It failed you. It lied to you. You thought you knew your roommate because she's always holding the Bible and blowing tongues, big syllabus tongues, until you came to meet her with your chachiku inside the bed there, waiting upon the Lord. Now you say, now I know. You don't know yet. The senses, this is all Descartes did with the Meditations 1, where he's casting doubt. Why is he casting doubt? Intentionally trying to see if there is a certain knowledge that he cannot doubt. So he set off first with the senses, which is one of the source of knowledge, the empirical source. Asks himself, is it possible to trust my eyes? He says, but I saw something. I saw the security man holding the laptop the last time. It made me think he's a thief. When I went inside, not knowing it was the boss that sent him. Can I trust the same eyes again when he tells me something? It is not prudent, says Descartes, to trust the same source that has deceived you before. So he discounts the eye as a source for what? Certainty. Look on the screen. In his Meditations 1 and 2, Descartes is looking for knowledge that is indubitable. You can't doubt. This is stated there. If I had asked, it would be trouble. What was his quest in his Meditations 1 and 2? What was he looking for? He was looking for knowledge that is certain, indubitable, undoubtful, absolute 100% certainty. Descartes says he's looking for that. Why? because he wants to be sure of what he can know and the channel or the source that gave him that knowledge. Why would anybody be bothered about that? Because you told him that the earth is in the center of the universe. You expert in empirical science. That's what you told him. So that even the throne room of God's grace or whatever was centered on human beings, because human beings are not on earth. You said it is the earth that is in the center of the universe, because human beings are so important to God and they are in the center of God's plan. The earth is in the center of the universe. How did you know it? You saw it through the stethoscope, telescope. You were looking. The man has been deceived. Later on, it turns out that it was. This is not 10 years, hundreds of years after such lie. Why lie? Because the empirical doesn't give true knowledge. So why should I trust anything else that the same senses are telling, including the one that the doctor is telling me that he saw in my blood that I have so and so and so. So I will die tomorrow. Why should I trust that? I cannot trust anything. But look at the work the senses do for us. The senses, you see, you hear. How will I know it's raining? I have to see. Now I can't trust what my eyes are showing me. So let me look for certainty. I go Nancy looking for all wisdom. Goes wrong gathering them. This is what Descartes is doing. So it's an intentional, systematic doubt aimed at what? Searching for certainty. How did he start? He started doubting the senses. Look on my screen. Slide number 7. Because the senses have deceived him before, so the senses don't give him certainty, they give him doubtful information, beliefs, or opinions of people. You heard something, it turned out to be false. You tasted something, the same or let's do something else. Let's taste here, the same yogurt that you thought, oh, it tastes fine. The next time you have malaria, you take the same yogurt, you say it's not sweet. Is the thing in your mouth or in the yogurt? You don't know what to trust. Then touch, then smell. The perfume that you say it smells so good. The next minute you say the thing is it smells bad. I want another one. Now I'm trying to show you, and so you should read the text itself, his article, which I projected earlier, and look at how he raised doubt on all the senses and throughout the senses. They say, okay, if the senses don't give me true knowledge, then can I rely on something else? So see why his method is a foundational method. Go and play it. See why his method that he adopted is systematic doubting. What should that? Doubt it because you're looking for something. It's a philosophical method. And so it is also described as a foundationalist method. Why? He's looking for one thing he can know for certain, then he'll build his entity around epistemology around that. Okay? And geometrical method. I've asked you questions on all this. I don't know which question will come to you. It's a big pool. You should be able to show why Descartes' method of arriving at certainty is described as a geometrical method, or why it is foundational, or why it has the Archimedes principle at work. Or they're all there. I stated it detail verbatim. On the slide here, as I've projected here, is there. Read it. His first argument, the senses are limited. So it can't reach out beyond a certain level. The limitations of the senses argument. That is why it can't give you certainty. Because the person is downstairs talking. How will you even be sure who it is? Even though you are hearing voices, how can you be absolutely certain with a limitation like this? You are in your office, you can't be at home at the same time. Do you know whether a thief has entered? God forbid. You don't know. So the senses can't give you certainty because 1, it is limited. 2, because even where the thing is not far away and distant, if it's so close like this, you can doubt it. Why? Because things appear so close like that, also in a dream. When you're dreaming, dream we know is not real. But you only know it's not real when you wake up. When you are not awake, it is so real. So you are dreaming and you think you have, what do you like? Maybe fried rice and chicken on your table and you are munching at it. You have even lifted the chicken, you are going to buy it. It's so real, you're salivating until someone slaps you on your bed. Say, wake up and go and sweep the compound. In the dream, it's so real, very close to you. Yet you wake up to realize it wasn't actual. So the point is, if dreams are possible, then we can't even trust obvious and close sensory objects or sensory knowledge. These two arguments, limitations of the senses and dream argument, both are meant to doubt sensory knowledge. Then he goes further to say, what about if the knowledge is not a sensory one? I gave a whole dramatic, explanation of that using the visually impaired who can see yet can understand 2 plus 10, all that in a finely done content for you, which you must engage. It's still shared on your course site. The link, go to announcement 2 and find every recording I shared there. That is my focus when I'm asking questions, because I'm going to 4 different classes in the week, teaching the same set of slides. But sometimes the emphasis may be more here on that or on the other. So to be fair, when we finish, you put a request for a recording, you can always go back to it. So when you share it to everyone, you want to ask questions on that topic, it's better to use that. Because even if that other class didn't emphasize that so much, they still have access to it. The why you won't look at it. So what if it is not sensory knowledge? It's the one that we call a priori truth. Look on my screen now, slide number 10 of 13. What does it say? His argument for doubting the knowledge acquired purely by the mind's activity, independently of sensory experience. So what about that kind of knowledge that doesn't depend on the senses, but you have it? Like 2 plus 3 equals 5. You don't have to see to understand. It is understood. It's not seen or heard or touched or tasted. 2 plus 3 is not 5 because you saw 2 oranges. And 3. No, it's the meaning of terms. So a square is a 4-sided figure. What we mean by square is what we mean by 4-sided. How then do we have such knowledge? But they don't depend on the senses. Oh, we have them a priori, prior to experience. Because says, what if some evil, powerful being is the one deceiving us about such knowledge that supposedly is what? Implanted already. Remember what I said about Plato? You already knew. Already knew by what power? Could it be that we were deceived? That 2 plus 3 should have been 7 and not 5? Is there a possibility? Say, dog, how can you think that? Well, is it possible? Because the man wants to say, is there any way of raising any possible doubt? If it is, then we can't even trust a priori truth, those that are independent of essential experience. It's a methodology. The person is intentionally doing that. And so then it means we can throw away even mind knowledge. That's how you say it. Knowledge that comes prior to experience. Before you experience, you already have it. That can also be doubted. By which argument? By the evil genius argument, by the evil demons argument, by the smart evil beings argument. You can still doubt even mathematical or analytic truth. How did we doubt sensory knowledge? Oh, you appeal to the limitations of the senses. The senses are limited. What about it if the things are close? The sensory knowledge we are dealing with is about close objects. I have my laptop right in front of me here. It's not like some far away thing. Oh, they are downstairs, so I didn't hear, or my house is at home, so I didn't know what. No. This is something so close. Why should I doubt it? That I'm seeing it. I saw the guy's hand. He's standing in front of me. His hand is inside the soup. He said that one too, we should catch that. What if you were dreaming or hallucinating or imagining that I'm only going to tap in the next minute and you realize that, oh, there was nothing there at all. Is it possible? Yes, then there wasn't an actuality. It was in your dream. If so, there is possible to doubt even close of your sensational. This is Descartes. Very beautiful philosophical reflection. Someone said, oh, so if we know all these things, then what? That is why when you say you have caught a thief red-handed, so you are going to give his justice, you have to chill. It is painful, yes, but chill. Because you may be wrong. You may be dreaming. You may have miscalculated. You found a gun in the guy's hand. When you heard thief, 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 it may be the person who stole that is now shouting thief, thief, because they have got him. He gives the gun to this other brother standing there. Say, hold it for me, I'm coming. And then he stands outside and shouts, thief, 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 thief. When he went to steal. So when you come and say, this one, we saw the gun in his hand. Gunny. I don't care. What the monkey says, my eye is my God. I've seen it. So this one is not a matter of negotiation. You go and kill somebody's son. and I don't want to remind people, but remember Major Mahama. You will kill the person before giving room for people to think or reflectively engage. If the person is found wanting, we may correct, we may retribute, punish the person to correct him or punish him to pay back or whatever. Or we may even sentence the person to death if we think we gave life so we can take it, no problem. Does it mean people should go stealing? No. But how do you establish if people have stolen? You say, I saw her red-handed following your husband. She was lying on top of him at the poolside. Ladies, you have a problem, not the woman or the man. You, if you go pouring acid. Think about them. So that those are the practical connections. You see that I was speaking of philosophy. And we said the reflection aims at what? Problems of everyday life. The ability to connect them is what I was here to help you do. You haven't even read what he said. So I can show you its implication for human life, law courts, human societies, international relations. Could it be that Putin is not wrong after all? Could it? If all you are depending on is what you see on TV and what you hear people say, okay, we are back. The thing went off again, but we are back. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, Doc. Yes.
We continue. Thank you. Some people think that they think they are so sure. Look, that is what such a discussion is trying to do, taming people. Calm down. Because the God who created heaven and earth, if you believe he's there, and you should, hasn't even killed the person. You think that we power here there. Good people don't live longer. Who determines who is good and who is bad? You think about yourself, but you don't, because you don't know everything. Knowledge, certainty, absolute indubitable truth. Okay, those were just some reflections to help you connect the essence of the discussion, which will seem irrelevant or seem abstract when you come in here. Why would someone ever think of raising possible doubts about 2 + 3 = 5? What's the point? The point is so that even if it doesn't depend on senses, but it is analysis you are making, could we be wrong about the assumptions we hold, which are not empirically given? Yes. But could it be wrong? Could it? Yes, it could. By the evil demon's argument, ideas that are supposedly detached from senses could still be doubted. This is what Descartes said. He was reflecting. So based on that, he said, mind you, by the 6th meditation, he did this for a meditation, I think 6 days or so. Okay. So first day, doubting senses, second day, he arrived at certainty. Then he built up. By the 6th meditation, he was making a case for the existence of God. He was defending how, and that is not for here. This is level 100. At least level 300 rationalism. You will see how he makes a case in defense of the existence of God. If there is imperfection, there must be perfect. If there is no perfect, you can't conceptualize imperfect. How? How will it be meaningful to say imperfect, a negation of perfect, when you don't have a conception of perfect? It's just deduction. The guy is doing maths. And then he says, so if there is imperfection, which is he himself, I, Descartes, if I'm imperfect, why am I imperfect? I can be deceived by myself or my dream or the senses. Then it means I'm not absolutely perfect. Now, if I'm imperfect, then it already presupposes that there must be perfection. Else, imperfection doesn't make sense. A being that is perfect cannot be the source of imperfection. So it can't be the evil demon or the evil being, entity, whatever. See the analysis. Sitting in his room is meditations, meaning reflections, not chanting or calling spirits. People, someone said there is a dog. So meditation doesn't mean he was chanting or something. I said, which sense of chanting are you referring to? The guy is reflectively making his thoughts. So he's sitting in his room and asking, is there anything that we can know for certain at all? Now that we don't trust even what the doctor says, we don't trust what the meteorologist says. He says it will rain tomorrow. That day the sun shines. All your things. And you say, oh, the sun is good, the weather is good, the sun will be fine. The next day it rained and your party is destroyed. How will I trust them again? That is what the guy was in. So he's reflectively trying to find, is there something at all that I can know for certain? If I know that one, then the channel I used to know is what I will now rely on. You can't rely on a sense, a channel that failed you. A guy has disappointed you. He says you are the apple of my eye. Yet, apple of my eye, when you went, he and Adwasli are, hey, there you are. Then the next is, oh, no, you are not just the apple of my eye. You are the toffee of my eye. Will you listen to that nonsense? If you did, then you are so, quote and unquote, fill in the gap. You see? Because it's not wise to trust a source wholeheartedly. The word is trust. A source which fails you before. How can you wholeheartedly trust? Absolutely. You can believe, you can hope that he will change. That's different. But you can't trust a deceptive source. This is the principle he's working with. So he threw out all the senses and threw out even what? Mind and its a priori truth. Senses give you a posteriori truth. Mind gives a priori truth. He discredited both. And then he went home. I say he went to sleep after day one, meditations one, distraught, worried. So is there nothing I can know for certain? Well, if by day two I reflectively think through it again and I still don't attain anything that I can know for certain, I'll take it that at least I know one thing for certain, which is that what I cannot know anything for certain. That will at least give me peace. That certainty bad, we shouldn't look for it on it. So he went home with that result. But by meditations too, which is the second, it is also in the reference I've given you, just 9 pages storytelling to read it and get a background. Then you can now connect it to the slides and see the essence. Then when we come and we are discussing, I will help you reflectively connect it to substantive matter. Those who want to do law, want to do international relations, want to do medicine, want to do consultancy of any kind, advertising. You want to apply this. I would have connected them. One kind of what kind of know what that is? I can't speak it. You have to do the reading and you come. Okay. I know that people have learned their lessons now for their own sake. We are on slide number 11 of 13. Can you imagine 13 slides? They're cute, but well laid out for easy grabbing of the substantive content. See? Now, by meditation 2, what does Descartes say? One of you should read it. Won't be able to do much. Raise up your hand if you can read it for me. Let me take a sip of water. Edmund, thank you. Edmund Wilson, please read this current slide. Certainty at last.
Okay. By end of meditation 2, Descartes realizes, however, that there is one thing he can know for certain, one indubitable truth. That is, that he exists anytime he thinks of it. I think, therefore, I am cogito ergo sum.
Very good. Cogito ergo
Think
sum.
of it.
Cogito ergo sum. Continue, sir.
Think of it. He must exist before he can be deceived by the senses.
Good.
A dream.
Good.
Evil genius.
Good.
Even his own mind.
Do you get the point?
Even
Hold
if-
on for a minute, sir. Hold on. See, Descartes now realizes that, look, bingo, I have landed on something that I think I can know for certain. Certainty now, in other words, the absolute indubitable truth. And I think I know it. He's alone, no? He's not discussing with anybody because the whole world crowd may not exist. May. Why? How do I know that the world? I see it, or I hear it, or I touch it, or I taste it, or I smell it. I've already doubted what these 5 senses are telling me. Maybe I'm just thinking that the world is, well, could I be, maybe I'm being deceived, but that's, I think there is a world. See that? All these are possible. So he's alone and he says, but there's one thing I think I can be 100% sure about, certainty. That is that what I, Descartes, I exist. Anytime I am thinking, it is a conditional existence. anytime I'm thinking, I am doubting, look at your screen, I am being deceived. The last point on your current screen. When I'm thinking, when I'm doubting, ing, present continuous. When I'm doubting that I exist, then it rather tells me that I exist. Why? Because if I don't exist, what will be this thing that is doubting that it exists? There has to be something existing, me doubting that I exist. I have to be existing to be able to even doubt that I exist at all. Wow. Oh, yes. That one he knows for certain. It definitely is not his body, remember, because the body, you only see it and touch it and taste it and smell to know it is there. So it's not a body that he's referencing as the thing that does the existing. Then it has to be whatever it is that thinks. Okay? It is the thinking thing that must exist to do the thinking. When you advance, you see some one or two criticisms against that. Is it a thing or the state of thinking, consciousness? Right? But that's philosophy of mind. Stay here now. Too much need to spoil the broth. A child only learns how to eat one at a time. So I'm teaching you for level 100. So we can do the criticisms later. One or two that you can point out. But for now, look at this one. I have to exist to doubt that I exist. If I don't exist, I can't be able to doubt my own existence. So you realize I'm not even in a dream. If I say, maybe I'm not existing, maybe I'm dreaming that I'm existing, well, I have to exist to do the dreaming that I'm existing. You see the point? Maybe some evil demon is deceiving me. Well, I have to exist to be deceived by the demon. So anytime I'm being deceived, a mental state, present, continuous, if it is going on, I'm being deceived, I'm thinking, I'm doubting, I'm affirming, these are his words, I'm denying my existence, then it tells me that I exist. I must exist to doubt that I exist. That's why the thing is called what? The cogito. I think, therefore I am. It is the thinking that establishes my existence. If the thinking is going on, thinking here references all his 7 or so mental states he captures. Thinking, doubting, affirming, denying, they all constitute what he calls thought. If that thought process is going on, then it establishes his existence. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Okay, so your friend finished that. He said even if he wants to subject this certainty to his systematic doubt, he still must first exist as something to be able to doubt that he exists. Not even the omnipotent God. Can you think about that? Can deceive Descartes about his own existence. Because he has to exist to be deceived by whether a good force, a bad force. So his existence is necessarily true. It's a certainty. Anytime he, Descartes, is thinking of it, he cannot be sure whether you exist or I exist. Because as for you, your existence, I see it, I touch it, I taste or I smell to determine whether this other person exists. But as for my own, so if I were Descartes, me Nancy, my own existence, dear, no one can deceive me about it. I have to be to doubt that I am. So read the next slide here. Very good. That's slide number 12 of 13, and I'll end. Go on, sir.
Trust, yes, madam, I'm reading.
You.
Descartes' trustworthy source of knowledge. The source that revealed this truth to Descartes is the mind. So Descartes will trust mind as the source that can give certainty. This is why Descartes is described as a rationalist. He will depend on this source to build his whole epistemology in later studies. For now, indubitable truth or certainty for Descartes is he exists anytime he thinks of it. Therefore, he exists as a thinking thing. Either a thing that thinks, affirms,
i.e.
or
that is okay.
that is a thing that thinks, affirms, or denies, etc.
Well done. Then I, on my slide here, I put the discuss practical relevance of the Cartesian doubt. Cartesian is from the word Descartes, like Ghanaian from Ghana, is Cartesian. Discuss the relevance, the importance, the usefulness of Descartes' doubt the method of doubt. It was a philosophical doubting, not common sense doubting, not an absolute skeptics doubting. So you have to know the difference. It is in that recording as well. Okay. So see how this method of doubting of his, in his search for indubitable knowledge or in his search for certainty, how does it relate to law, medicine, etc., etc. And I put the tutorial. That's the end of that slide. Very important and beautiful content. Very useful, a philosophy. Okay. Now, I expected that you had that already well grabbed. So I was going to only walk you through this one, which is the content itself. I just did a reflection of that for you. But the content itself, Descartes Meditations 1 and 2, where I extracted that and created the slides for, is this. I gave it the original. It's a 9-page thing. So Rene Descartes, Meditations on First Philosophy, see, Meditations 1 and 2. Meditation 1, what was the title? Of the things on which we may doubt. What things can we doubt? And so he starts. If you go and read it, you see that now it comes alive. Several years have now elapsed since I first became aware that I had accepted, even from my youth. Now we are quoting Descartes, D22. Many false opinions. See the story I just told you for true. I have a lot of things I have been told. They were just people's opinions. They were not true. It fails later. It turns out that wasn't the case. Men are not reliable. I found the guy is so reliable. His name is so and so. Depending on your faith. I'll say his name is Jesus. So reliable. But really? But he wasn't a man holy. Well, but he was fully man and fully God. The point is, the guy is reflecting. Put yourself in the shoes of people who have thought about life. They've seen so much, and some of the things they were told wasn't true. I said people have been sentenced to death and killed. We only wake up later and go and find another evidence that pointed to our mistake. We were wrong. Meanwhile, at the law court, everything for many years pointed to the person. He has said everything. The evidence is pointing at him. Empirical evidence. So this man says, I was convinced, where was I? And that consequently, what I afterward based on such principle was highly doubtful. This is what he says for several years has happened to him. I moved from geocentric view to people who said sickle cell folks will die at 18 years. I use those examples, very touchy. The people are 60 something and going, they're not dead. You were Omaleo. You see, does it mean it was wholly false? Perhaps not exactly absolute. And from that time on, read, I'm on the third line. I was convinced of the necessity of undertaking once in my life to rid myself of all the opinions I had adopted. I'm still quoting Descartes, okay, because of our recording. See. So he says, I'm going to take away all these false assumptions, supposed truths that may not even be true after all, and commence a new work of building from the foundation. How is a foundationalist? One truth that I can know for certain to serve as the foundation, the grounds on which to build the rest. Is a foundationalist. If the foundation is not strong, what can you build on it? Only one foundation has been laid. Now I'm talking Christian people. One. Every other one is being rooted into that one foundation. If you are a builder, you know. The foundation is your focus, not the lintel, not finishing. Go and buy all the important finishing. If your foundation is weak, it's just a matter of 2-3 days. Everything will come crumbling down. And I mean, so the foundation was his focus. If I get a good foundation, something that I know for certain, then I'll use that as the grounds on which to build every other knowledge. Derived certainty. See that? If I desire to establish a firm, blah, 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 blah. So he goes on establishing, and he shows you. So your task is now to read it. How he's able to show that the senses have failed him. So he starts with the eyes. I observed, however, that these sometimes misled us, paragraph 2. And it is the part of prudence. It's a sign of prudence not to place absolute confidence in that by which we have once been deceived. I said that. That's paragraph 2. Then he goes on paragraph 3. So you can read on and see. He said, oh, the thing was purple and this, it turned out it wasn't so. Keep looking. All casting doubt on the senses. Okay, I'm on page 2 now. If you go read, then he moves on to quantity, magnitude. Then he thinks about what about the a priori knowledge I talked about. See, they believe that there is a God who is all powerful, who created me, cannot be the source of deception. So what if there's another powerful being that has deceived me about a priori truth, like 2 + 3 equals 5 and stuff like that? Okay. That's what is going on in his doubting of what a priori truth. Please, when you go read. Then comes to what? He comes to what? Meditation 2, day 2, of the nature of the human mind, and that it is more easily known than the body. I told you it's not brain, people, because brain is still part of the body. You can touch brain, can in fact scoop it out of your head. It's white and jelly-like. It's still part of the body, the physical material within space and time. So mind is not physical substance. When rationalists talk, they're talking about something non-physical. So Gilbert Ryle, for example, criticized you and said, are you talking about a ghost in a machine or something like that? As if human beings have a ghost living in the physical machine. That's why he criticizes Descartes. They're talking about something non-physical, which is a part of your being, which is the source of true knowledge. Now, if you're a church folk or a religious person, they say the spirit is more real than the physical. You think Descartes is crazy? You're talking his language. If you say that, you're talking his and Plato's language. They believe something beyond this physical is what is accountable for true knowledge. When you advance, you see what some physicalists say and how they interpret mind as just aspects of the physical. That's for another day. Okay, so we move on. And he tells you, what if this canon, smart being, is the one deceiving us about a priori truths, the truth that don't depend on the senses? So he goes on until he reaches certainty at last. Okay? This is page 5 of that report. I use a very accessible version. Okay. See, but what then am I? A thinking thing, it has been said. But what is a thinking thing? Are you watching? It is a thing that doubts, understands, or conceives, affirms, denies, wills, refuses. Anytime I am willing, I'm imagining, I'm perceiving, I'm being deceived, then it establishes that I exist. I've said all that. See, that's it. That's what is going on. And from there, he comes to the cogito. So if I think, then I exist. I exist. You have to read all the wax argument and all that. They are there only to help you. But in conclusion, I find I have insensibly reverted to the point I desired. For since it is now manifest to me that bodies themselves are not properly perceived by the senses, nor by the faculty of mind, but by the intellect alone. Not body. So the intellect is not the brain. Brain is body. And since they are not perceived because they are seen and touched, but only because they are understood, understanding. You see that people call God the universal intelligence. It's not physical. Intellect, mind, reason. Some say soul, some say spirit. It's non-physical, it's not tangible. I readily discovered that there is nothing more easily or clearly apprehended than my own mind. Consciousness, state of being. I am only when I'm thinking. And because it's too difficult to rid oneself so promptly of an opinion to which one has been long accustomed, it will be desirable, I'm quoting now, to tarry for some time at this stage. He's resting for a while, certainty at last, that by long continued meditation, I may more deeply impress upon my memory this new knowledge. Voila, I'm done. Any questions? Go through them to get the rationalist view from Descartes' perspective, but more importantly, how you will use it for everyday life. That is what is important to us. Do you have any questions, please? Good. Edmond, go ahead. I'll stop the recording though, so that it's not too long. Go ahead, Edmond.